we just went to see Little Mermaid, the live action
2023.
Yes, live action remake of the Little Mermaid
1980 what? 1989. Disney. So in reality, it only has to refer to itself, really. Or do we disagree?
Well, deliberately, before we went to go and see it, I did not rewatch the 89 version because...
Neither did I. And I still haven't.
Well, there was a reason for it. I'm not that fond of the version, but that's neither there nor there. I wanted to give this one every chance it could get, and it needed it. But the TLDR is that this, as a film, it's fine. It's fine. The film itself, it's fine.
I had a wonderful time. Yeah. I thought it was great.
Yeah. And but
more than fine.
But I have to say that I think I speak for me, but I think also for you. I don't have any skin in this game.
Oh no!
I am not in love with the original.
No.
I am not in love. The fact that she is not white, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't see what the hubbub is about.
She's
fantastic. She's
fantastic.
Gorgeous. She can sing like an angel and she can act. What more can you want?
Basically, for this movie, the biggest problems they had was the previous movie. Any of the inherited intellectual properties that they had to do, things like Anda da Si.
Yes.
Because the original story, the Anderson original story, actually has quite a long bit about what life was like under the sea for these mermaids. There was a lot of mermaid stuff in that. And then when you do a film about mermaids, you want to see mermaids. I don't want to see dancing crabs. I want to see mermaids. But because they have to, in the original, this song was so big, they have to do it. It takes up 3 minutes or more of the movie that otherwise could have been spent on doing mermaids, actual mermaids. And they can do mermaids.
Yes. And it didn't need to have like the visuals, because there's a lot of throughing and, you know, it's a 3D movie. We went to see the 2D version because we're just that old. But it's a 3D movie and it's all about giving you all this 3D motion up, down.
And they have the technique now, and maybe in 89 they were short on technique, but here they have the technique to show whatever you want. But there's no reason not to show anything.
And they'd already shown her doing that, going through the wreck, searching for human artifacts. And that said a lot more about who she is, she's a fangirl. She's fanning over humans, and the humans are over there, and they're out of reach, and they're out of bounds, and all of that. And she is, like, she's got her little fan collection, and so that part is, I think it already ticked all the boxes of taking us through things and seeing all the beautiful motion underwater, and the beautiful hair, and the fins, and all of that.
The original film animation was like an hour and 15, and this one's 2 hours.
2 hours
plus.
And
that means that they can actually do a lot of the mermaid stuff, and they do, but they still must do all Under the Sea.
Yeah, but all of the other songs as well.
Yeah, but there aren't not too many of them. In fact, to the point that when we're watching it, and I was going, Eric didn't have a song.
I don't remember that song.
No,
I know. It didn't exist. They made that song for this version.
They gave Eric an I Want song because they have that much more time, that they now have time to flesh out Eric a little bit, and therefore he needs an I Want song.
And he got more backstory, which they don't follow up on.
Now, there was a reason for that, and I think the reason is that it's complicated. She is black-skinned. He is white. His mother is black-skinned again, and these are all, except for the mermaid herself, most of them are English actors, because that's where they pulled their people.
Apparently, yeah, we looked it up.
They looked it up,
Brits.
and they're all Brits. Brits. The Queen herself, I think, is from Africa originally, but she's working in England. In England, the style of casting is fully colorblind. You just get a person who without looking at the color, fits the job. So you need a queen, you get a good actress. Happens to be black, we don't care. We need a nice younger man who is still demographically in the same type as the prince, and he needs to be able to sing. Oh, we have a young man. He happens to have fair skin. So doesn't matter. That's the British way of doing it. The American way of doing it is oh yes, we want to get in lots of people of color, but they have to be relationally correct. So they put in just a couple of lines of subplot, which indeed goes nowhere, in which they establish that the prince and Eric is adopted as a foundling child, and then adopted.
But the thing is, that gives him more 3 dimensions, because suddenly there is a backstory to him that you could do something with, that you can do more with. And it's said in the beginning, then he takes a moment and he wants to explain it to her. And now I'm like, now we're dangling. I'm dangling. If it was just like, okay, he's adopted, woo, let's go. That was where we started. I'm going, yay, okay, let's go. Fantastic, adopted people want representation too. That is awesome. But now you've dangled it in the middle of the movie, and where's the rest? Yeah. Pick it up. That annoyed me. Even though I loved most of the movie, but that was just. And I think they may have had it in the script, because usually script writers know about you have your gun in a drawer, so at the end of the movie it needs to shoot somebody.
Yeah, and I think I still think it's just both.
Not in a Disney movie,
both these references are there to explain that the fact that his skin color is different from his mother, because
one was enough. That's just fact.
Yeah, but no, there is an axiom.
2 is a question mark.
There is an axiom in American education that you have to say everything 3 times, and they only said it twice.
I said it twice.
Yeah, but that's not even 3 times. So
no,
they're not having.
I needed the 3rd one.
That is another thing that
she could have at least the people could have said at the end, "I'm so glad you are my son, and it was the best thing I ever did to adopt you." Even that would have literally solved that dangling participle for me. Yeah. So
the thing is that this thing was already problem riddled, because I just recorded a review of the original Disney Mermaid in reference to the actual story, and the actual story, and you'll see it later, but I recorded it earlier. So the actual story written by Anderson in 1837, I kid you not, a fully 152 years before the 1989 Mermaid, and now nearly 200 years ago, he put more agency in that story than Disney lets her have it.
For Ariel.
For Ariel.
For our mermaid.
And also for Eric. He gets the moment he's enchanted by Ursula.
Yeah, I completely, because I did see the Little Mermaid way back. I was 18 or whatever. I mean, in 89 I was 18, so I must have been 18 or 19. I saw it and I was like, okay, so he gets enchanted. Now you've lost me, because an enchanted prince, which I want my hero, thank you very much. I do want my male hero in the story, and I want to know why my female hero is into him. But the moment that he loses his will, he's no longer a person in that sense. He has no agency. Has no his own will is gone, and then he is a victim. So now she needs to. That's great, He gets proverbially tied up, and she needs to go rescue him. That makes her even more of a hero.
But she already rescued him earlier from the shipwreck.
Yeah, they follow up on that, but they don't.
And this live action movie is aware of the problems of the original, and they try to fix to a certain moment. They try to fix some of it. At the end of the Little Mermaid, the original, and it is in the end it is he who kills Ursula, and in this version she gets a chance. Sorry for the spoilers. She gets a chance to do that. It gives her back some of the agency that they stole. But the subplot of being enchanted, that's in the original, and they have to do it. They don't get a choice here. Yeah. All the problems that are with this live-action movie are stemming from the original.
Okay, so in the spoiler space of she gets to at least cause the Ursula to die. My problem with that is this movie established that she is Ariel's auntie. Yeah. Why does she have to be Ariel's auntie? And if she is Ariel's auntie, and then we go to what her father's powers are, in the end of the movie, you find out her father's powers are far greater and probably the same as auntie.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so all this time he's been sitting there and and maybe he chooses not to use his powers because maybe he thinks that's evil. And certainly Ursula was pretty damn evil. Great actress, by the way.
Oh, I enjoyed her.
She was great.
Yeah. I think we should talk about Ursula altogether, because I didn't talk to you in the other review. I didn't talk about Ursula, but the Ursula, the whole I hate. No, I don't hate parts of her, but I hate parts of her very intensely. I hate the fact that she has been made into an evil witch, whereas in the original story she's just a force of nature. She is honest to a fault in what she promises the mermaid of what she can do and what she will get to.
This one was
and
all...
You need to make a bad person vie, and
also the thing with giving her as a form of amnesia about the deal.
Yeah, that's taking away more of that, and that's specific to this movie, because I checked the animation doesn't do that. For the people who haven't seen this movie yet,
why are you watching this?
Okay,
go watch the movie first.
Just to inform.
It's not good to watch our reviews.
After she signs away her she gives away her voice to get legs. Ursula sends, in this version, only in this version, sends some more spells at her to forget the conditions of the 3 days. 3 days are very, very tight altogether. It's the only version I've seen. The original fairy tale lets her take as much time as she wants. As long as he doesn't marry somebody else, she has as much time as she wants to do that. But here she needs to have true love's kiss within 3 days. And I do understand that it speeds up the action so that she...
There's a timer running.
Yeah, but then they in this version they make her forget what the conditions are, and the only people who know are her companions, who have to chase after her, and I don't why it's not even necessary. So that's the only thing that they changed to the negative. All the other changes they made were to the positive. I love the looks over the animation. The animation is nice, but it's the 1989 is still a little earlier for it's still a little bit wiggly, but the live action is so beautiful.
Oh my god, it is absolutely gorgeous. And the moment where she comes up on the rock and the ocean wave hits her from behind and she hits that note, I mean, you've basically completely nailed it. That is the moment where you go, right, I'm all in for this one.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of the girl. We'll put the names up, but and the guy, the guy,
awesome.
She's awesome because she needs to be a strong singer, but because he now has something to sing. Actually, he's not a brilliant singer or anything, but they make him. It was fine. It was good.
And I think he was the right actor for it.
Yeah, he is in an understated. Yes. He's handsome in an understated way,
and he is a gentle hero. He doesn't have to be the hero because this is a female hero movie. So he just has to be like really interesting, really into her once he realizes who she is. And he does that very well. It's like, first he's like, why, yes, okay, she's here, what, okay, she's not the one, because he doesn't hear the voice. And then he starts to get interested in her, because she actually is interested in all the stuff that he's a geek. And she's very geeky as well, so they're both completely
They can geek together.
Yeah, and he gets to expound about all the
and
which is for the 1830s. It seems to be set kind of like that.
Yeah,
it is like they were all about discovery of the world and technology, and
it is set in a fake time, in a fake place.
It's actually set earlier than the 1830s because there's no industrial age yet.
Really. Yeah, but in the 1830s there's no industrial age.
No, it's just
in start of discovery, but it is set in a faux Caribbean world, which also doesn't include anything like slavery. It has as many colored peoples, and it just ignores all of that. It is filmed in Sardinia, which is Mediterranean, and so the looks are beautiful, and you were going Mamma Mia, because it's the same location, same region.
When he's doing his song, and the way he runs to the shores, and you see the hardy rocks, and you see the ocean. That's straight out of Mamma Mia.
But it's the same rock. It's the same rocks, but a couple of islands over.
Probably, yeah.
And it's beautiful, and they did that really well.
It is. But I didn't think that song was necessary. As much as I enjoyed him singing it.
No, but it needed something because of the extra time.
Yeah, but why was it so long? Why make it so long? We were
in the
movie theater. There was a daddy with a couple of kids behind us, and after about an hour and a half, the kids started wandering around the movie theater. So that tells you
they were very sweet about it. They were very sweet.
They were lovely. So it's not. I am not going on YouTube saying that dad should. No, this is fine. It was too long for children.
Yeah, but I think this film was meant to be for the people who saw it when they were 9 in 89.
They now have 10-year-old kids or 8-year-old kids.
But this is made for the grown-ups. This is not made for the kids.
Yeah,
this is a great film.
Absolutely, because I sat there and I watched the entire thing breathlessly. You don't need a break. You don't need anything. You might need some popcorn. But it's like. This was fantastic. It was so gorgeous, and it kept on going with plot. It wasn't. There was no boring moment in there.
For the fact that they had to do what is in the original, what's in the '89 movie, and they were not doing the Anderson story. It was excellent.
I did not expect the Anderson story because I knew it was going to be a remake of the Disney version.
But if you think that this is the Little Mermaid as written by Anderson, no.
No.
But this was.
It diverges pretty quickly. Pretty much the moment that she makes the deal with the Sea Witch, because there's no Sea Witch in the original story.
No,
but also the thing about Under the Sea, I was watching that and I thought it was very cringeworthy. Because
the animation is even more cringeworthy.
As we have said before, we are not originally fans of the original movie, so I saw it all of once or twice. And that's fine, but the thing is, I don't think you can do that right now anymore. In a Caribbean accent and basically telling people to stay in their place. To not want to be more than you are and to do what daddy tells you. It's like, sorry, but that's not on. It's not on for girls and it is not on for the delivery.
And it wasn't even on for Anderson, because that's not what he
wrote.
It
wasn't even in there. Was there never anything in there about the father saying, okay, we stick to our own kind. We don't go upstairs. We don't go to the... No. Yeah. And what was interesting, I don't know if that's in the animated, but is that it actually gets explained pretty much far away through the film that the dad has a trauma over the mom.
Yeah.
And because he destroys her statue. And the statue is the representation of the guy that she's just rescued from the storm.
She
took the statue home and he destroys it, and she holds this hand. This is very visually very strong. She holds the hand like really close and mourns over it, like somebody just died.
Yeah, it's in the original.
And the fury that he has to wreak that on his, I presume, youngest daughter. Yeah, that was a bit harsh.
It was very harsh, and compared this version compared with the '89 version, they toned it down a lot because they made him very sympathetic. He has this nice, quiet voice, and in the '89, I was watching it and I was going, because I very recently saw it again for the review. I was going, oh my god.
Well, okay, so here's my story.
He's abusive. He's straight up abusive.
Yeah, the Little Mermaid, and this is, I'm going to be like the only one in the entire world. But The Little Mermaid was the reason why I stopped watching Disney movies. Because at all of 18 or 19 years old, they scared the heebie-jeebies out of me with the tentacles of Ursula. She was an evil witch, and I had grown up watching the Czech version, and I was never expecting an evil witch. There's not really a bad guy in it. And so because I went into the story with, oh, she's now going to the witch, the sea witch or something like that, or in some cases grandma, to ask for stuff, and I got that. I mean, literally, I was like, I'm out. I cannot watch these movies. These are actually too scary for kids, or at least too scary for me.
Yeah, I can see that.
I didn't go to see them anymore.
Yeah, but because that's what Disney did and does. But they have been doing it since the beginning of the Sleeping Beauty. It has a different name in Dutch, I think. Sleeping Beauty is just a story of yes, an evil witch, but then the girl falls asleep, and then the prince finds her. But Disney cannot do that without then making the witch turn into a dragon.
Evil.
Dragon. It was a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
In the only time he did it legitimately is in Snow White. That is actually in the fairy tale. But apparently he likes that. Disney likes that so much that you have to have a strong female bad guy that turns into an ugly monster, which is exactly what happened to Ursula. Even more in the animation, she turns into this nervous.
The animation scared the heebie-jeebies out of me.
But in this version as well, there's becoming big at the end, because they actually in this version they cut up the finale in two parts. There's the wedding that's they put that on shore, and then they do the voice bit there, and then they go onto the ship to sail off, and then Ursula becomes big, and then they do the end of it because they have that much time. And I think this is a smart move because it was very quick and complicated in the animation feels a little rushed here and there. They just because they only have an hour and a quarter, and you need a little bit more. So they want this big evil woman thing, and I think this big evil woman thing is starting to annoy me.
Yeah, I'm agreeing.
That's why one of the reasons I hate Ursula is the big evil woman thing.
Yeah, we don't hate the actresses like that. I agree with you that there doesn't need to be an evil woman in every girl's life. No, thank you. Basically, Disney's telling us there's going to be an evil woman in your life. You need to be aware of this and arm yourself against her or something like that. Yeah. It's like, no, women do not need to be each other's adversaries. Yeah. I don't care if men do that. That's their business. I'm not a man, but I'm not going to be living in a world where I expect women to attack me. That is, especially an older woman, in this case her aunt. You know, if you want to send one message, is that at least you can go to your aunt and ask questions. Yeah, and then that's what I want girls to know.
Take the grandma away first, because the original story had a grandma. But
maybe Disney didn't dare to make Grandma a witch.
No, not the grandma wasn't a witch. She was just grandma.
I know.
She's the person who gives all the information about the lore. And so since Disney doesn't do any of the lore, they got rid of grandma altogether. But now she only has like the dad and.
Yeah. But was in the animated version was Ursula auntie?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that came as a surprise to me as well.
But I did run into, when I was doing research for notes, there is the Little Mermaid 2, which is a straight-to-video / DVD kind of thing, which we never saw.
No, I didn't
and
see that.
there, in that one, is specifically established some lore about the mother and about Ursula. So that is where I think it comes from. And that's, again, an inherited IP, intellectual property that they have to do in this, because they have to put it in. It's all... if this movie would have been so much nicer if they'd just done the Anderson story with this lovely actress and this guy and the mother.
The cinematography and everything. It's just so gorgeous.
Yeah, and would have been...
But
because
they couldn't do that because they have the legacy of that original film.
But the thing is, now they are at actual technical level that they can actually do the Anderson story as written, because he writes like half the story is about what the things look like, and you could now do that, and so it's very frustrating to see it all spent on this thing,
because now it's done. Nobody's gonna do a Little Mermaid for the next 10 years.
Not a Hollywood one, no.
And not Disney.
And not a Hollywood or Disney, but the thing is, if you're not Hollywood or Disney, you don't have the money to do it this good anymore.
No, and people won't see it as well. If you do it, then it will be a much smaller production, and it will end up...
Because that Czech version that we were talking about is the reason why we're talking about it. That's the reason why. Technically, money-wise, it is this small. But they did everything right.
Yes. And that's the thing. Okay, so we're veering into the territory of disappointing remakes. But actually putting stories on film. Existing stories. And that is what Disney does. Originally, it was always taking fairy tales and putting it on films.
Yeah, but do their own thing.
And at some point, they took, okay, let's go for Shakespeare and put it on film. So then we get... the
Lion King.
The Lion King. Now, that works because those are stories that are literally tested through time that they work. The only thing is, what do you change? And when do you stop changing? And how do you solve the mess of what you've changed to blend in with the actual story and make it an ending?
Yeah, and they feel, and I think, and that's what I object to, is they feel that they have no responsibility towards the original. You just take the intellectual property from somebody who's long dead and lives in another country, and you do whatever you want with it. And
is that cultural appropriation?
That is, I think this is cultural appropriation, yes. Yeah. From Danish culture, yes. Yes.
If I were
Caribbean
a Dane,
culture,
I would be very upset.
Yeah.
But probably first upset over the animated version. Then the disputes over literally the color of the skin of the main actress is like, we're talking mermaids. Shouldn't she be silver like a fish, or blue, or in the Czech version, what was the color of the hair?
They did in the Czech version. They did something different because they didn't have any money for tails, so they did something with blue makeup and a complete hairdress.
Yeah.
Also because you see
a lot of shimmering silver.
You see mostly this of a person anyway. What you see from tailing anyway.
Yeah.
So they made it certain that they look so significantly different that you cannot exchange from one for the other. Yeah. But I think the choice of this girl, who is primarily cast because she's a great singer, turns out to be a credible actress as well. I think it doesn't matter what color I'm sorry, it doesn't. The fact that she can sing really well for this, and that's what mermaids do, is sing really well. So yeah,
I love that they.
I love her.
That they stitched it together by saying, okay, he has daughters of all, like,
of course,
all the 7 seas.
Yes,
and then you get this all these different daughters, and it's just all gorgeous.
The shot at the end, the very last shot of the movie, basically, is where when they actually leave, and you see on the shore there are humans, and there are mer people,
and there's actually some mermen in there,
mermen and mer children, and they are all watching them go. And on the land, everybody is multicolor, and in the sea, everybody is multicolor, and it's lovely.
Love it.
So good. That is why
There was something missing when they were still in the sea. The earlier scenes is that you saw the sisters, you saw the father, and then there was like one court attendant guy, merman. Who briefly brought a message, I think, and that was it. You didn't see, because they constantly talk about, we need to lead our people here, we need to rule the kingdom. It's like, all I see is the sisters and the dad, and there's like one dude. But also it's like they refer to the husbands of the sisters, which we also don't see.
Yeah,
I mean, visually, that's kind of like it left an empty space for me.
Yeah, I think this movie is actually suffering from the pandemic. There was a scene that early Ursula talks to the mermaid via a bubble. And the looks of Ursula in that, and then when you see her later, she has different makeup. And I was going, that's weird.
The blue makeup.
Yeah, the blue makeup.
That you saw, that really reminded me of the Wicked Witches in, like, let's call it, the white, Snow White.
Yeah, Snow White, yes.
Yeah, because it was this really... and heavy makeup.
I think
they didn't repeat it for the rest of the movie. Yeah,
and she has later on, because I was going, that's not right, because what would a mer person, even though Ursula is an evil person, but what a mer person would have in makeup, she would have markings because she's a squid-like. So the makeup in that one shot was way too plasticky, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it was completely
later, then when you get a proper close-up when she actually talks to Ariel, when you have those scenes, she's much better. And I think it's because they were with the pandemic, they were filming in different locations and not all, and you lose consistency, and that's why you have in the scene where you expect the big crowd, you don't have the big crowd, but you have it later, so maybe they could get it later. And I think the sacrifice of the pandemic, I can live with that. I actually don't have... I mean, it would be nice to have more. But I was very happy with what was there.
It was, yes, I agree. And it had not occurred to me at all that they couldn't put people in.
I think that's probably what was going on. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's fine if this movie doesn't have as many people as it ought to have. That's the Czech version was really good because it had a really large amount of actual more people in it, and that was one of its strengths. But this one has the strength of actually being able to do the tale very credibly. However, I really don't like the fact, that's a niggly because they did it beautifully, that from an evolution point of view, these mer people, especially the females, only have a blue bit where the boobies are. So the Boobieshells again, I wrote it down for the 1989 movie. In 1989 movie, she has Boobieshells all the time. Even when she's naked as a human, she still has Boobieshells. So this one has booby scales, conveniently placed only where there's boobies and not where there's tummy, and the men don't have it. And it's going, ah!
Oh, it didn't bother me.
It was very pretty. It didn't
bother me. It was just like, oh, okay, they're doing it that way. Fine.
Yeah, okay, but I would have liked if they've done like a much more subtle, so little bit more scales here and then less scales, little bit more
scales.
Integrated. Let's call it that. Integrated, because now it looks like it's laid on. And it was very expertly laid on, but other than that, the looks are so good.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
And the problems are are just inherited from the original.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't change the script, then that's it. But it's still a very good sit. I loved it. It was
the mummies and the daddies are not going to be upset about this one.
Yeah,
and for the children, it's too long. But then. The people that were with us were boy children and not girl children. I think the ones who were running around.
I'm not sure. One of them was a boy, maybe. Yeah, but that's
And this one you can definitely.
That's another thing. Is I think it's a girl movie.
But that's
if we're talking binary.
Fairy tales are very much girl movies.
She's the hero, but she wants girly things. She wants to. Talk to people and have a nice time and fall in love and
all fairy tales are girly.
There is of course the they're not pirates, but there's the shipwreck and the ship sailing and the storm
and the big
multiple storms
and the big finale.
Yeah,
with the fights.
Yeah, that too. But I would still say this is very much a girlies movie. And as such, I enjoyed it very much.
But my conclusion is still whatever the problems they have are from the fact that they had to remake the original Disney thing. This is the Disney. Yeah. Mermaid and nothing else, which is fair enough. Yeah. Within this movie, it's fair enough. In the original towards the original Disney movie versus the original story, not fair. But this one is fair to the original Disney movie. Yeah.
But I'm still wondering who they intended to make it for, because if it's not for kids. Then that's really weird.
But the thing is, it is not the kids who give Disney money.
Yeah, they pay the tickets.
It is the mummies and the daddies who pay Disney the money. And what this does is remind mummies and daddies, oh, remember that film that was good in '89? Let's go buy that again. So they go to the cinema to see the good movie, because it's a good movie. And then they go again and buy the other one because you know what, the other one was but if you see it back, it wasn't as good as
and I wonder what a 10 or 12-year-old will think of very flat 2D animation, very skillfully done in 1989, but still it's not modern day animation anymore.
American kids will have been watching it since they were 1 year old, and it'll be familiar.
Yeah.
And
well, that's good. Then at least.
But I can give you an answer, because when I was a young lass, there was animation stuff on, and it was pretty crap. And then there was animation and things like trick photography, and I remember as a 10-year-old looking at it and seeing it for what it was. That could have been me, but I enjoyed it for the content. But I realized that yes, this is not the prettiest, but at least it gets the content towards me. So I get the storytelling, and I can appreciate some of the artistry.
Yeah, but the problem is that nowadays kids have entertainment hitting them left, right, and center. So you really. You go for the best.
Yeah, but they are not introduced. They're not introduced to the Little Mermaid by way of this movie or even the previous one. They're introduced by way of a doll or a video game
or their mother.
Or their mother talking about it, and almost the actual celluloid becomes a relic of that. You get...
Yeah, well, the thing is, do things stand the test of time? And a lot of them will not. And then you make this version, it's like, okay, well then we'll...
Of the remakes, and I've seen the Cinderella, and I've heard about the Lion King one, but the Cinderella one it's Brannagh, so it's very solid. But no more than that, because he cannot do more than the IP, and the IP isn't that much. And this one's better because the IP is better.
This has more story.
This is more story.
Cinderella story. Cinderella story is the basic story of all of this stuff, because she needs to get the prince, because otherwise bad things happen.
Yeah.
And in this one, you've got a lot more plot.
But you've got more plot, but then still.
Yeah, and actually world building, because you have to world build the under the sea.
Yeah, but they don't.
World.
But they don't.
No.
And that's the
least,
failings of this thing is the fact that they don't do this under the world building that you could have done. And it make it another. She meets him and they fall in love and fight the wicked witch and then sail off into the sunset.
Yeah, and at least she got to be the hero in the fight,
which is actually different from the '89 version. Yeah. He kills
interesting that they...
Ursula in the other one,
and they probably said in 2023, women take care of their own problems. Yeah. Okay.
So that's it.
Do you recommend it?
For what it is, yes. Over the '89 version, yes.
I recommend it as really entertaining and beautiful, and the music is gorgeous. And if you're into live action, which I am, I love it, and it's got a lot of special effects.
The one thing that has live action has over animation, even the bestest animation ever, is that you can do so many more facial expressions. You can do eyes so much better. And what the '89 version does is like do movement some more to make up for that, but it really can't. So live action people are going to win over animation.
Yeah.
And always for emotion, always.
Yeah.
And so this is why I'm saying this. I recommend this one over the '89 version. It's got everything the '89 version has, plus it has more emotion, a little bit more time, and because of the time difference, it's 30 years time difference. What they can do with what they can show is so much better. I mean, if they would make an animation this style now, it would look different anyway. But that's why the difference.
Would also be
so this one wins over the '89 version.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do the stuff that you need to do in the entire franchise, I would have preferred if they'd actually done with this quality and these people the Anderson version.
Can somebody do that?
Please, these people, please, all good.
Yeah,
they're. I'm sure they're available.
Yes.
That's the thing. I was worried. We did some looking up after we seen the movie. We actually looked up some of these people. Are they going to have a career after this? Because they
should.
Well, with almost everybody is British except for her.
Yeah.
And she is actually not an actress. She's a singer. And I think this is a good career move for a singer.
She's a fantastic actress, so you can sign her up for anything.
Yeah, but
really.
she's written down as singer-songwriter. So she profiles herself as a singer.
Yeah.
And I think that is actually a good choice to get for a movie like this, where people are going to say, oh, but the old one was better, even though it's not true. You have to get people who can take the pounding, because he is like a guy who works on stage and stuff like that. He'll be fine. They're all people who will be fine and can play anything. The Tom Cruise and stuff like that is not going to play in this because it would be bad for his career. You wouldn't want Tom Cruise in this, but
can't see him in a Disney movie.
Yeah, or Mel Gibson. He came. I mean, he did come. He was in a Disney movie.
Well, we've got yes.
Voice of John in Pocahontas.
In Pocahontas, which will not get I'm sure won't get a live action version.
I don't know if they. The thing is about these live action versions, like I said, they are simply making them to get people to rebuy the original ones, and so it doesn't matter what the quality is, which is in a way unfair.
Wow, because I really prefer the live action version.
It's unfair to the people doing the live action version, but that's why we're getting so many Brits and so many people who are not actors but like singers, because you don't want to kill your career for being in one of these. And that's the first one that I saw, and I think it's the first one that did, is the Cinderella by Brannagh, who is a very competent director. He can also be a great director, but this time he was to be incompetent, because that is what was asked of him, to make a competent movie that isn't going to be really bad. As long as it's not bad, that's good enough, because it gets people to buy the original 1950 movie. And same goes for this. And that's why it really doesn't matter that she was black. I mean, it got lots of tongue wagging, which was good for the original, for buying the original, because Disney still owns the original. So it doesn't matter if people buy seats for the original or buy seats for this one, because
as long as they buy seats.
As long as they buy seats.
Yeah.
And that is, but I think it's unfair to these action movies, and this one, that's why I'm saying this one is as good, if not better, than the animation.
Yeah.
Unless you're in love with the animation, in that case, nothing is better.
Nothing's ever gonna tick that box, and just don't watch this movie. But for everybody else, this is a fantastic, wonderful movie. It's a good time.
But not Anderson. And that's the thing that is going to haunt, for me, it's going to haunt the entire franchise or forever. Yeah. It is not the story from Anderson.
So if you want that, don't watch this movie either.
Yeah, but you're not hearing this review for that anyway. But so the TLDR is, this is a great movie. Go and watch it for what it is.
I loved it. Yeah, so that's my opinion.
And my opinion.
And we're sticking to it.